Welcome, listeners, to My Fantasy Wife, the weekly sports meets comedy meets marriage podcast, where a husband and wife discuss sports, fantasy leagues, and their impact on pop culture and relationships, including their own. I'm the wife, comedian Blair Postman. Yay! I'm joined by my husband and sports stat expert Gary Hames.
Jesus.
As well as our fill-in hot topics and social media maven, comic and fancy local news commentator Wills Maxwell.
I think he's Mavenier than the other guy.
Maybe he is. Maybe Mavener. And rounding things out, sound engineer, comedian, and man about town, Mr. Louis Bishop.
You also forgot that Wills is the star of That's So Maven.
To never miss our weekly episodes, extras, and more, subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. Find us on Facebook or Instagram at My Fantasy Wife Podcast, Twitter at My Fant Wife, and you can support the podcast with a cool sponsor perk at patreon.com/My Fantasy Wife. Miss any of that? Just go to our website, myfantasywife.com, with links to everything. Gary,
Yes.
tell us about this week's sponsor.
Don't mind if I do, Blair. This week's sponsor is Podhive. Podhive assembles quality, smaller, boutique-sized podcasts, evaluates what their most influential geographic and subject matter footprints are, and matches them with advertisers who want to reach people just in those metro areas, states, or regions. Advertisers benefit from the personal tone and dedicated audiences and in-depth exposure podcasts offer without paying large podcast prices for listeners in areas who can't take advantage of their business. While podcasters who aren't large enough to get help from traditional podcast advertising networks get help finding great fit sponsors for their podcast without distracting from what they do best, creating podcasts. Now, signing up new podcasts. Go to podhive.com for more information. That's podhive.com.
Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
Wow. Oh, that's fun. That's an exciting new sponsor you have there, Gary.
Some sort of alien infestation?
Maybe. I think people should go to podhive.com to find out, because if it is, they'll want to know about it.
And that is pod, not pot hive, right? That's
Pod,
P-O-D.
as in like podcast.
Oh, okay.
Podhive.
Is that where the strain came from?
I don't think so.
It was spawned in a podhive?
No, but that does sound believable.
Right.
But we don't want to confuse people about what it is, because it sounds like a great business. Okay. All right. Hi, Mr. Maxwell.
How's it going, Blair?
It's going pretty good. How's it going with you?
It's going. I'm stoked to be here.
Hey, so before we even get into anything else, I made a little fun allusion to it in the intro, but we want to congratulate our backup media maven and sometimes sub-hub Wills Maxwell. He's going to be the new on-air sort of comedic commentary in the morning news on WWAY in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thanks, yeah, I'm really excited. It's a new segment called What Did We Miss, where once a week I'll get to do a really funny talk soup / weekend update style take on news stories that we did not bother to report.
Right. And I was telling you earlier, I imagine a lot of cat videos.
Oh, there probably will be how could we miss the story of this cat that fell off a counter?
Or
we should have talked about this.
Or maybe cuddled with a baby.
Yeah.
Who was sleepy or had a cold or something. Also, might I recommend, and I don't want to tell you how to do your job.
Please do.
Otters. Also.
Oh, yes.
Sea otters, not the human kind, like animal sea or river otters.
Also, I like videos of cute babies falling off counters.
Which
It did not land on its feet. That's so weird. Like that cat video.
Which is just the natural progression of that internet sort of trend, if you will. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Before we get to some other stuff, let's talk about our upcoming guests and some league info. Today, is episode 86, and we're going to have comedian and host of the Balloon Cast, Michelle Balloon. Yay! Woo! And October 2nd, we'll have comedian and writer for ScoreboardSports.com, Mike Bridenstine.
Yay!
October 9th, comedian Mia Jackson. October 16th, comedian Zach Moss. Just assume they're all comedians. October 23rd, Kara Clank and Jared Logan. October 30th, Brian Miller. And just a little note here, the Pick 5 League that we do happens every week. If you've missed the other weeks, you can always just kind of hop in for a week. And if you win, we play a victory song of your choice for you and tell the listeners how wonderful you are and how successful. So that's nice. Oh, the music's over. The party's over.
Turn out the lights. The party's over.
All right, right, guys. Well, if there's no new business.
let me ask a quick question.
Oh, God.
Who did you pick in your Eliminator League?
I don't remember. Why?
Because there's some teams going down.
I think the Giants, maybe?
Yes, the Giants are in a
Death
brutal death spiral with the Redskins. They're winning by 1
Oh, my
with
gosh.
4 minutes
Jeez.
left.
Oh, no.
You think it's possible somebody picked the Panthers at home?
I don't know. Possibly. Very possibly.
Anyone thought that
Why?
was a
What
safe
happened?
Well, because
What's
they
happening?
were 7.5 or 8-point favorites in that. They are officially have lost to the Vikings 22-10.
Oh, my gosh. What is
Yes.
going on?
I don't know.
P.S. Not good for my fantasy league. Maybe we will make that trade, Wills,
right.
but we'll get
It
to
was
that
a
in a
fair
second.
trade.
We'll get to that in a second. All right, guys, let's do a little fact checking. Hi, Mr. Bishop.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I just like to check in with you, and I forgot to do it because
No,
I got
you're
all
fine.
caught up in this glowing glory that is Will's new
Right.
job. I know. I got a little sidetracked. I'm sorry.
I am. Yeah, it's understandable.
Something shiny.
He's so glowing. I thought he was pregnant when he come in.
Right, exactly.
I won't say.
Pregnant with potential. Anyway, fact checking, guys. This is the part of the podcast where we correct the mistakes we made last week to make room for the mistakes we're going to make this week. And here's really the main thing. Last week we had a debate about how the scoring of our Pick 5 league should go. And whether we have a tiebreaker where everyone has to pick the total points scored in the Monday night game each week. And Drew was arguing that it should be the total without going over. I listened to and Gary said he thought maybe we talked about that on the Gary's second annual critique of everyone's fantasy football league and friend alienation special that we put on Labor Day. I went back and listened to the whole thing and I didn't hear it. And I started listening to it again. I did not hear it. So for right now, we're going to do it. It doesn't matter if it's gone over. It's the closest number of points. And that
We
means
definitely talked about it.
what I was going to say is maybe it was
You and I might have talked about it like afterwards.
or maybe it was in a different episode, so we'll have to check that out. But for now, I don't have any record, and so Brian Bava's win in the first week stands, which is probably why Drew pretended to have to work today and is
the
not
Panthers
here.
losing.
Well, oh gosh, he's going to be just inconsolable next week. So I think it is just the closest, whether or not the total points go over what the total points actually scored are or not. Oh, yeah. And I think, Wills, have you not heard that before?
No, I love it.
I think it's important for the listeners to know that Gary is not doing that every time we play it.
I think they realize
that's
that.
a recording. So I also just wanted to point out, because I listened to that episode again, and Wills was going to be on today. Wills, during that, Gary gave you the pseudonym to try to protect you of Mills Waxwell. And then I said during it that sounds like a professor of iconography at a wizard school. And I thought you would enjoy.
I dig that.
Yeah, I thought you would enjoy
good.
knowing that. You're like,
Mills
if that was your
Waxwell.
future, you would probably be okay with that, right?
Right.
I thought so.
Mills Waxwell, he sounds like a very stuffy guy.
Right,
Yeah.
but with something going on there.
Yeah.
Something, he knows some stuff. Iconography. That just out of my sleeve I pulled that. All right, guys. Any arguments about that fact check, Gary?
I'm just positive that we talked about it. Then.
I'm not disagreeing with that necessarily. It might be in a different episode, or it might be that we talked about it offline. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure we resolved it, even if we talked about it, like so many things.
You know what I am sure of?
I feel like it's not about this. What?
No, I am sure that I drafted Seattle running backs in almost all of my leagues, and I didn't know which one to play because they've been struggling
Is
with
this
each
something
other.
that should wait until we
And
get
so
to
this
the fantasy
morning,
league part of the show?
I saw that
I feel like it is.
Rawls was injured and not going to play, so I started Christine Michael in 31 leagues, and he just ran a 44-yard touchdown in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Oh, well, we
Yeah.
did talk about
That's
Christine Michael.
310 points he just scored for me on one fell swoop.
Congratulations
Yeah.
in the wrong part of the podcast.
Right.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, you
Dun, 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 dun.
Before we get into all of that, Gary.
Well, we don't need to now.
Yes. Will.
See, I saved us time.
I'm trying to hit if there's anything else before we get into the NFL and get to our guest. Is there anything going on in college football that I should care about if I'm a casual viewer?
The Louisville fellow certainly seems talented.
The Louisville fellow.
Yes.
Okay, he's a player for Louisville.
You're not following a lot of college football.
No, I am not.
Yes, their quarterback has scored 416 touchdowns in the first 3 games.
Oh my! What? No.
Well,
okay.
no, but a lot.
I thought you were going to say points, and even that would be a lot of points. I'd be like 30 touchdowns a game, so that would be a lot.
Yes, because 30 times 7 equals 416.
No, it doesn't. But I'm just off.
Right.
Okay, you get the idea.
Not a math major.
I'm very good at math.
You're a girl, so.
Okay. You know what?
What?
Okay. Anyhow, baseball, and we are going to talk some baseball with Michelle Balloon in a little bit, but is there anything going on with the playoffs? The Nationals clinched, and then this was very sad. The Miami Marlins, Jose Fernandez was killed in a boating accident either yesterday or this morning. Yes. The Marlins canceled their game with the Atlanta Braves today, I think. Or it was canceled. I don't know if they canceled it.
Christ, this Giants game.
Wait. Is there just hold on. Is there anything about baseball? Do you remember baseball? You used to love it.
Vin Scully retired.
Oh, yes, I did hear that.
He's 87 years old. He's been calling Dodgers games since he was 4. So, 83 years.
I think it was like 60 years, though.
Yeah, he was like 20, and he's been doing it continuously ever since. And he's
he
87
was doing
now.
it when they were still in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I remember I heard about that on NPR. That's how I get my sports news.
Named
only the nerdiest sports news.
They named
do
2
I hear.
players whose games he'd called, and one guy was like started in the majors in 1935, and Vin Scully called him towards the end of his career, and then some guy that just came up this year, and it was like, wow, that's a long time.
Wow, that is a long time. Is there? So the Nationals clinched. The Mets. I don't know if they were going to clinch. They were close to it. I heard it on the radio yesterday. No, do you know anything about baseball anymore?
Yes, but
No,
I don't know if the Mets were going to clinch or not.
Okay. Wills, are you a baseball fan in any way, shape, or form?
No, I am not.
And we know Lewis is afraid of baseballs.
Yes.
So terrified, and he actually puts
the actual physical baseball.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm afraid of red stitching.
I'm afraid of worms, Roxanne. Worms.
I get it. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what you're.
No judgment.
Hey, wasn't that from the movie Roxanne?
Yes.
With,
Martin.
Steve
Worms.
Martin?
Words. Oh, right. Okay, it's coming together. It's all coming
They're
together.
doing their
for
Cyrano de Bergerac routine.
My fantasy wife movie pick of the week.
right.
Roxanne.
Steve Martin's classic Roxanne.
Check that out.
And
Recommended reading: Cyrano de Bergerac.
right, exactly. See how it all ties together, guys.
That's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
All-time great
And
movie.
Rick Rossovich is in it.
Really? I hadn't noticed.
Oh, Gary's man crush of all time, Rick Rossovich.
Hadn't noticed. That was actually his quote.
Yeah, that's true, because he was the dummy who could.
He was.
Okay. So, hey, Gary, do you want to talk about...
Sorry, that's a horrible clip.
Because I was afraid of worms, Roxanne. Worms.
That's right.
He's supposed to say words. Words.
He's got a very funny hunter's cap on
Yes.
to cover the earphones.
Yes. Gary, should we talk... Oh, can we have a little change music, Mr.
Yeah,
Bishop?
sure. Why not? Let's do that.
Why not? Let's, Right. All right, guys. Let's talk about the NFL and our fantasy league, starting with Wills Maxwell.
Hello.
I get a notice this week.
That you promptly ignored.
Well, I didn't ignore it. I said
Didn't you
nasty
sign some of the
things.
IRS saying we wouldn't talk about this?
No.
Oh, that's not the notice. I guess I just talked about it.
Right, exactly.
Sorry.
That you offered to trade me some tight end I'd never heard of, which that doesn't really
Rob
mean
Gronkowski.
anything. No.
She has
I
Rod
have-
no points Gronkowski already.
Well, yeah, but he's gonna be back and great. He was asking me to take the man from the Seahawks, the quarterback who we were just talking about.
Right.
And what's his name again?
The who from the what?
The quarterback for the Seahawks.
The quarterback?
Russell Wilson.
Russell
Yes.
Wilson. Yeah, I was offering you
He
Russell
wants
Wilson.
Russell Wilson and some tight end
Clive
for
Walford.
Cam Newton.
Oh, he wants Cam Newton.
Yeah, he wants Cam Newton.
So I offered you Russell Wilson, who is also another similarly skilled quarterback, another rushing quarterback, so you'll still be getting points on receptions and on yards rushed.
You're going to take the number one quarterback, give her back a lesser quarterback, and a guy
And-
that was on the waiver wire.
And no. Clive Walford is the number 11 tight end. And
So
he's been
not a starter.
He's
since
been-
we have 10 teams in our league.
no, he's been starting for me. He's been giving me a lot of points. But also, Blair
He
has
works hard for me.
Blair has Rod Gronkowski, who's got 0 points for the
Because
whole
he was
season.
out for 2 weeks.
But you started him.
I know because he
Wait,
was
wait,
back
You
in.
started him, and he got you no points. He
I know
played.
because that was the first game
So-
he was
so in
back,
your
and it was
opinion,
an
she
early
should-
in the week
she
game.
should bench him and put in
Clive
Walford,
Walford, yeah,
who's not in the
Cool,
top 10.
because her tight end again. I don't know why this isn't a bigger point. 0 points.
Okay, well,
No, but
then
I didn't-
why
I
don't you
didn't
take the
start-
quarterbacks
I
out of it
didn't-
and just swap the tight ends even Steven?
Well,
You'd really
I
be
didn't
ripping
want-
her off.
He
there.
wanted
I didn't
Cam
want her-
Newton.
I was just trying to take her tight end. I was leaving her Gronkowski. I was leaving her Gronkowski, giving her another tight end.
Okay, I just want to
Yeah.
reevaluate this trade.
Yes.
You're giving her a worse quarterback by a decent margin than you're getting back. They have scored 22 points, I think, this year so far in 2 games, Seattle. And he's been abysmal because I've started him in like 20 leagues and taken a bloodbath on it.
And the thing with Rob Gronkowski, I didn't start him the
And
first
she has
2
the best
weeks.
tight end in the last 20 years of pro football who's been injured and out the first 2 games.
I didn't start in the first 2 games. I
And you
started,
got a guy that's not a
It was
starter.
risky to start him the 3rd game, but I did it just because the other guy was only
Yeah, and
getting
he
4 or
played
5
14
points.
snaps.
And got you nothing.
Name me. Let me ask
I
you
was
something.
offering
Let
you-
me
But
ask
this
you
is
something.
forever.
I have a question for
Yes.
Wills. Can you name me one tight end in the history of professional football who scored more points than Gronkowski when he missed 2 games? Like, has there ever been a tight end that missed 2 games and scored more than Gronkowski 0 in his 2 missed games?
Wouldn't that be every tight end?
Yeah. So I'm not chagrined to find that he wasn't able to put up any points in the games he missed.
No, but he was in it and got nothing.
Because it was risky to put him back on an early in the week game when it was his first week back. I admit that, and before Brady is back, but Brady's coming back soon, and
All right, I have
stuff's
one
gonna
more
happen.
question. Wills has made the point that he hadn't scored anything, and so 4 times I think he's made it. So we got that
Yes.
point. What would you project Gronkowski's performance for the rest of the season if he remains healthy to be? Just
I'm not sure. I wasn't even trying to take him away. I was trying to give her another
But
tight
it's
end.
more that the
to
tight
be-
end is stinky. Like, it's not very incentivizing for me.
I think Will's point is this is exactly what Rob Gronkowski has got you.
Clear, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
But then at the end, Charlie gets everything.
that's true. Yeah, when Gronkowski gets healthy, you get everything.
Right. Once Gronkowski stops yelling at me, it's a little scary. At the end.
I thought.
Well,
I thought
declined
it was,
the trade.
all right.
Yes, as you,
honestly-
in all fairness,
And
absolutely
I
should have.
declined
It's a
it.
terrible
I thought
trade.
it was worth a shot.
Sure.
No skin off my nose. Like
No.
I like who I've got. I was just like, well, let me see if she'd be interested.
Let's do a little something.
Yeah.
Let's see how big a chump she is. She's a pretty big chump, and I am. I am. You didn't say that. I'm saying it for you. I'm a pretty big chump but even you can't ask me to trade any of the players whose names I actually know without looking at them. So you're giving me a trade that involves Cam Newton and Rob Gronkowski in an inadvertent, like in a roundabout way. And those are like the only 2 guys I can name other than Eli Manning, who's on my bench. So you can't offer me to take someone whose name I know, independent of looking at the list. That's
right.
just not. It's just I'm shallow that way. And actually, I'm shallow in quite a number of ways, but that's one of the ways. Have there been any other big trades in our league?
Do you not know who Russell Wilson is though?
No,
But you
I know
he
who
is,
Russell
so, okay,
Wilson
that's
is.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
and he grew up in
But
Richmond,
if I just
Virginia,
think
didn't
if
he?
your
Greg?
point about Gronkowski is that he hasn't done anything yet, Russell Wilson's been awful so far. So why doesn't it apply to him?
I'm trying to look back at my previous stats and I cannot.
Yeah, well,
This,
But he's
by the way,
been, but I've been, but like, all right, I can't see the points, but like, I'm looking back at my first 2 week stats with Wilson, and I was happy with him. So I'm trying to. So I was like, well, it's a similar.
I beat
trade
you one of
because-
those weeks.
No, handily too. That was not what the projection said at all.
Yeah, no, it's well, Gary, were you going to say you don't like this new ESPN app?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of what I thought you were going to
Yes,
say.
I was. The old one was much more user-friendly and intuitive.
It's quicker to pull up stats.
You can't go, like, on the old one, if I had a match in our league and I pulled it up with the side-by-side matchup where the two are lined up right next to each other, you could just flip across the top and it would scroll through all 25 of my matchups. This one you can't. You got to go all the way back out and click on another one, come all the way back in. It sucks.
All right, guys.
Not to mention, they went down for 3 hours in the middle of the first Sunday.
Yeah,
with
that was fun.
billions of dollars riding on all this.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got to move on.
That's it for football?
No. We
For
have
that, for our thing.
For our little thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, last week in the Pick 5 League, there was a four-way tie with 4 points. It was myself, Brian Bava. This was before the points. Brian Bava, Joe Cardoza, and Drew Harrison. But the total points scored in that game, which was Eagles versus Bears, was 43. I guessed 45. And Joe guessed 41. So we each were within 2. So we tied. I didn't get Joe's message back about what music he wanted, but I picked my victory music. So Mr. Bishop will get that up whenever he gets a chance. So I won, and I was tied until the points for last week too. So this is where I'm really shining, is the picking randomly game by game overall winner and then choosing a number out of thin air. That's really apparently my strong week. So this is my victory song. You guys, do you know who this is?
We got a long distance dedication from Blair Postman to Brian Bava. Here we go.
Yeah. This plays when I come home. It just randomly plays.
I didn't say that.
No, I said it for you. I'm waiting for the chorus. Is that wrong? It might take a while.
Just call Gary. That's his ringtone.
Right. Right. Well, only when I call. It's like perfect. It's just designated for me. So he knows.
Right?
I'm a bitch. Back. Stone cold sober, as a matter of fact. Better than you. Okay.
Boy,
That's enough.
that Bernie Taupin
Better
could write
than-
some lyrics, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could. But Elton wrote the music, I think, for everything. Yeah. You used to play the Elton John music in like a mall in Ashland, Virginia, or
I did.
something.
Hold
like
on,
that.
you did what?
Gary used to play piano in a mall in high school, like at Christmas time,
Wait.
something like that,
Something like that.
something along those lines. And he used to know most of the Elton John songbook,
I did.
Really?
and
At
that
one
was
time.
yes.
And
that-
did you sing also?
No, I can't.
You just played.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, that's why I always wanted to start a family band.
Well, I'm 30 years out of practice, though.
But he refuses to brush up.
I refuse to purchase and have a piano delivered into our house.
And then practice several
And
hours
then
a
practice
day.
every day with my broken finger, yes.
Yeah.
I do refuse to do that.
He refuses to do that.
But why?
So we started a Not everyone's as dedicated as you are, Will.
I know.
So instead we started this podcast. That's kind of true.
Yeah.
Because I've been bugging him about a family band for, I don't know, 10 years. And then this podcast idea came up, and I convinced him to do that. So I've kind of let go of the family band thing. But we do sing here in the podcast a lot, which I enjoy very much. Okay. Are there any other, like, NFL...
Sounding good, Gary.
Wow.
This is like esoteric, sort of, edgy stuff. Okay.
I wrote that.
Yeah, he did.
I believe we just watched you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Will, could you please help him move the piano?
Right.
Oh, sorry, yes.
We're not going to
Guys,
get out
it's a
of
good
it.
thing the studio is
Very
so
small
big.
room.
It's a good thing. We get a lot in here, I feel like. Is there any more shenanigans in the My Fantasy Wife podcast fantasy league or in the NFL in general that anyone would care to discuss?
Well, I would just like to point out that your pick in the Survivor League is in Serious Jeopardy.
Okay. Well, the Eliminator League, yeah.
Yeah. Let me pop this up. The Redskins had kicked a field goal with 1:51 left, and they were up This is being difficult. They were up 29-27, and the Giants were receiving the kickoff on their own 20 with 1:51 left.
So that doesn't seem like a lot of time.
No, and they only need a field goal, but all right, let's see.
Well, I know Drew already missed one like the first week or the second
No, the
week.
Redskins have officially beaten the Giants 29-27.
Meh, meh.
And my pick this week.
Oh, let me guess.
Guess.
I don't know.
Good luck.
No, what's your pick this week?
My pick this week was the Dolphins. Oh, and the Dolphins went to overtime with the hapless Cleveland Browns.
Oh my.
But scored a touchdown in overtime now, 130-24. So I'm still alive.
All right.
But it took overtime to do it.
Good
That
for
was
you.
a very draining.
It's
experience.
very emotionally draining week in the NFL. It sounds like. What's going on, Gary? What are some surprises? And Wills and Lewis, if you have thoughts as well, what are some surprises? We're in week 3 of the NFL. What are surprises that teams that should be doing better, like the Panthers?
That's probably the biggest surprise in the NFL. Is the Panthers are 1-2.
Yeah, I might have to put in
home
Eli
game.
Manning.
Yeah.
Losing at Denver in the rematch, that's not such. At Denver's a hard place to play.
Yeah.
Mile high, really loud crowd. They won the Super Bowl. They're pretty good.
Yeah, right.
And they got rid of that second-rate quarterback that they had and got somebody in. They threw for like 4 touchdowns today.
Right.
That guy, that Simeon guy.
I thought you were talking about Peyton Manning.
I was last year.
Oh, okay.
He was
yeah.
terrible last year.
Yeah, yeah,
he
he
was great
was.
all his life, but he was awful last year.
Yeah, I know. So, but what else? I mean, so that's a surprise. Why? Why is it? Wills, you like the Panthers. Why is this happening? What has changed? Did they have some like big trades in like positions I don't acknowledge?
My best guess,
Yes.
and this is my best guess, is that Cam Newton said all lives matter, so God is punishing them now. So
Cam Newton said that?
No, he's not in so many words, but kind of, yeah. So, like, honestly, you can keep him.
Okay. well, you're the one who asked for him. I
Yeah.
don't know when he said that. When
Yeah.
did he say that?
Well, it's kind of been that's kind
An
of been his
ongoing
stance for a while. But it's also like he's notorious for like just staying completely silent whenever crap is happening. Like
Right.
he doesn't want to ruffle any feathers.
Right.
And then recently he spoke up on the Charlotte protest.
Right, because that's happening this week for people who are listening.
And that's his town. He's
Right.
and so I have no fault with him so much in his statement in that, but he mostly came down just as hard on the activists as he did the cops, and I can again, not coming down on his statements for this week, but generally displeased with his lack of activity in the movement.
Lack
in
of
general.
activity, and we'll switch around some just to group it together a little bit. We'll switch around some topics, and we'll get to Gary, your other fantasy leagues in a second. But one of the things here, and I don't know why anyone would be surprised that Mike Ditka, who is one of the sports figures who's come out, in favor of Trump, would say this, but
All on the Trump train.
And I just listened to his call into ESPN. Shooting on the Trump train. It's like the opposite of the love train.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I don't know what it is.
People all over the world.
Get the hell out of here. Get off the Trump train. But anyway, Ditka, I don't know what show it was on. It was a call-in, I think, to ESPN. And he said, among other things, he said, if you don't like our country, or if you don't like our flag, get out. And he meant that in reference to Colin Kaepernick and other people now taking a knee during the national anthem. Yeah, Star Spangled Banner.
It's such a weird,
it's-
counterintuitive statement of, like, if you don't like the country, if you're protesting the country,
It's like, well, you were
leave
born
it.
here. Like, where are you supposed to go? It's kind of,
If you're exercising one of the greatest gifts this country gives you, which is free speech, just go to someplace else.
Now, and I wasn't an attorney for very long, and I wasn't very good. But what I did do, and for the length of time I did do it, I was a First Amendment attorney. I worked for Freedom of the Press, or a nonprofit, and then the FCC, ironically. And it's so this just kind of makes me nuts when people there's a teacher in North Carolina now who's doing a lesson plan on the First Amendment,
Right.
and he stepped on the flag, and now he's been suspended by the school
Right.
for 10 days without pay for transgression of duties or something.
For telling the story about how, like, the Constitution allows you to burn the flag.
Yes.
And,
So it just makes me nuts. I mean, you don't to say somebody to me to say somebody has to get out for he's not even breaking league rules.
Right.
So just he's allowed to, whether you think he's right or not, he's allowed to do it. And to say that you're trying to protest in a calm, peaceful way to do something that you think is better, will make your country a better place, but that you should get out, I don't agree with. But
Right.
I don't get that riled up about the source because it's Mike Ditka.
It's like, yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know. Anybody else?
It's just kind of disappointing that like he did this to bring attention to like the national problem, and instead of talking about the problem, people got hung up on the national anthem. Instead, they got hung up on the protest and not the issue that he's trying to bring attention to. So that's a shame.
Because we're a nation of children, and I include myself. I'm pretty childish sometimes too. Now this is nice. No, I feel like this is this supposed to be? Is this from South Park by any chance?
That is Mr. Methane. I tried to find him farting the national
I believe it's
anthem.
pronounced methane.
Methane, yeah. You're right, it is. Yeah, methane.
Gary, you know who this person
It's on
is?
Howard Stern a lot.
Oh, okay.
Farts, oh, Canada, but
Oh,
close
wow.
enough.
Oh my god.
I don't know if he's really farting "Oh Canada" or because there's no tone or pitch.
Says you.
There's rhythm. I mean, it's
What
more
is
like a percussion instrument.
What is O Canada's the same tune as God
Yeah.
Save the Queen?
No. It's Gloria. That's God na 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 na. That's God
Oh, My
Save the
Country
Queen.
'Tis of Thee is the same as okay.
Canada got their own tune together.
Little known
Yeah.
fact about Wills, he actually used to go and tour Canadian malls during the Christmas time and fart, oh, Canada.
I would accompany him on the piano when he came.
It
to
wasn't.
Virginia.
It wasn't so much out of a display of like of nationalism, so much as it was the only way to stay warm in Canada
Right.
is to just let loose a series of farts.
Because wouldn't the gas be at body temperature? Yeah. I'm saying, keep
I
it warm.
feel like we've lost our way a little bit.
Well, let's get back to football.
No, we're still talking about racial injustice in America. And
No.
Well,
Ah.
even that is allowed, America. You're allowed to be the biggest idiot you want to be, pretty much, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Ish. I mean, you might think someone is impolite or wrong. I mean, and you cannot like it, but he's allowed to do it.
Right.
And telling him to get out of the country seems a little much to me. Seems a bit much to me.
right.
What were you gonna say, Gary?
Oh, I just wanted to point out what we were talking about so earnestly earlier about my recent pickup of Christine Michael.
Oh, Jesus.
I switched him into the starting lineup in 31 leagues today.
Yes.
And with 2 minutes and 22 seconds to go in the first quarter, he already has 19 fantasy points.
Wow.
What's 19 times
Who
31?
has it in our league?
It's 601 points he scored in the first quarter across my 31 team.
Wow.
That's
I-
one of the more spectacular moves I've ever made.
I'm going to regret asking this, but it is on the agenda. Gary, what's going on in your 35 or so other fantasy
don't
leagues?
care, we don't have to talk
No, go ahead. What do you got going on? And what do you see? What are the trends? What's happening? How many fantasy leagues did you wind up with?
It's 35?
35?
I'm not sure I'm done. I'm in the mid-30s somewhere.
Okay.
I haven't even counted.
It's a lot.
And do you count like the eliminator and all that stuff?
No, just like the straight fantasy leagues.
Okay. I
Yeah.
probably got 34, 35.
Yeah. So what do you got? What are you noticing? How you doing? Are any of the theme teams doing especially well? Like surprisingly,
I had started
The Birds.
Christine Michael in my waiver wire pickup team.
Yes. Yes.
And I
okay.
also picked up, what's the guy for Detroit today that had 205 yards and 2 touchdowns? I got him off the waiver. I'm going to score like 160 points on my all waiver wire team in the third week.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a good use of the waiver wire, Gary Hames.
I really, my strongest conviction going into this year's fantasy football season was that I could utterly dominate a league picking nobody but people off the waiver wire. It
Right.
just goes to show you that everybody, this shit's out there.
Like even I could do well in my fantasy league. Gary, if I looked at the waiver wire ever,
So
and
many
I'm just
times.
happy I haven't had anyone on the roster who wasn't playing yet. That's always a danger for me.
Most of the first round draft picks do okay unless they get hurt. But when you get into the second, there are a lot of people in the teens and 20s that literally do nothing like lose their job and are out of the league. I
Wow.
mean, just do nothing.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
So are any of the theme leagues like the birds or the cat names?
Well, we're only
teams
2
or-
games in. The cat team's undefeated.
Nice.
Well, those, what it turns out to be is that which 4 teams it is have a lot to do with it. There's a lot
Yes.
of offense between Carolina and Detroit and Jacksonville.
And you don't have Cam Newton. You have
No.
the redheaded guy.
that was last year.
Oh.
I've got the Detroit quarterback this year who's been great,
Okay.
fantasy-wise.
Stafford?
Stafford, yeah. But there's just a lot of skill players on those teams, so that's a,
Yeah.
pretty good team.
All right. Anything else? I mean, you've got 35 teams.
Well, the NFL's fascinating. Look at New England. They're down to their rookies, like 4th round draft pick played quarterback from this week, and they won 27-0.
Wow.
It's just it's remarkable.
And yet Rob Gronkowski scored no points.
No Gronkowski and no Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And no second string quarterback. And they won 27-0, a shutout.
That's crazy.
It's sick.
They're going to be 3-0, 4-0,
They are
rather.
3-0. They are already
3-0. They
3-0.
might be 4-0 without Brady. Do
Yeah.
you think that makes him nervous for his job? He's kind of expensive.
No.
No.
No. Although, one of these days he's going to fall off a cliff. The lifespan of most quarterbacks does not run. He says he wants to play 5 more years. I think he's 39. Like, that's probably not going to happen. Peyton probably did too. And then all of a sudden,
Right.
he went from 4,000 yards to literally looking like the old man on The Simpsons.
Right? Like Mr. Burns.
Yeah. No. Not. I guess it's not The Simpsons I was thinking of. It was the Family Guy. The guy that's always trying to, jump Chris.
Yeah, no. Oh, okay.
That's
yeah.
what I was thinking of.
Well, either one.
Yes.
Doesn't, not
Who
a
would,
hearty.
who would win that wrestling match?
I don't know, but it would be long and drawn out.
Yeah.
Yes. It's.
How long would it take them to get to the ring
Right.
if the crowd was thick?
Mr. Burns does look like Gollum a little bit.
A little bit.
I'm surprised they haven't done that. Anyway, okay.
Well,
or maybe
no one's
they have.
watched that show in 10 years, so I'm not sure if they have done it.
Now, before we move on,
No, football shit's going to come up. I'm sorry. Carolina lost. They're 1-2.
I know.
That's
What's
crazy.
What's
Crazy.
going on with that? Mr. Bishop, have you been following the football matches this season?
A little bit here and there, yeah.
Yeah. Have you noticed any trends or anything that you've been surprised about?
I was just looking, and it's pretty amazing that the NFC West, they're all tied for first place, basically. They all have one
Jeez.
win and 1 loss or 2 losses, so...
Is that unusual, Gary?
No.
Okay. All right.
I would like to point out that Team Red Rocket, Lewis evidently a big
Yes.
fan of the space program.
Yes.
Team Red Rocket is
The Russian...
Right. Russian space program.
beating.
I'm sure that's what it is.
Yeah. No, not so much a fan of the Mexican Aeronautics and Space Administration,
No.
or MASA, as we like to call it.
On South Park,
Yes.
yeah.
Is beating Team Kearney 61-59 in what's looking like a death match.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, let's see what else we got going. Superstar Brian Bava, who leagues are erecting a statue to all over the country, is currently losing to Drinking Fortes.
Oh, you know what? I just
Who was
remembered. I forgot to call Dink to
That
do
is
Smack
Conti.
Talk.
Uh-oh.
I got to call you next week, Dink. Sorry. I forgot to call you to do the Smack Talk segment.
Well, he's getting
Oh,
pummeled.
well.
The prediction is 113-58. Who is that?
I don't know. You have to look it up.
Which
Maybe
name?
Drinking Forte?
That's Alex Conti.
Oh, okay.
Conti's pummeling Bava. That's going to cause some feedback.
Yeah.
And Lucky Mother Funchess
Yeah, that's Chips Cahoy.
is beating Toon Squad.
Is that you, Will?
Of course it is. Come on.
Wow. Toon Squad. And Hey Girly Hey.
It's killing me.
Even though he's drunk somewhere, want to kill himself because the Panthers lost, is destroying Team Furry Fury by a good 45 points.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be a good week for me. I think I had my
Although the
heyday.
projection is worse, so savor this now. 'Cause
Right.
it's going downhill.
Our match. Blair and I went up last week. I got handily routed.
Yeah,
I can't remember
That
what
was
score
the
was.
one the Panthers won.
Yeah, but the projection had us I think either had us pretty much tied or me up by a point. It was really
Yeah.
going to be close. Oh well, it is going to be a tight one. Was not.
Yeah,
at
that
all.
happens a lot.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
trying to look at the root of the inequality in this, and the thing that sticks out to me is at the flex position, Hey Girly Hayes player, LeGarrette Blunt for New England scored 22 points Thursday night. And at your flex position, you woke up this morning and forgot to check who the late inactives were, and your Rashad Jennings is not playing in his game and scored 0.
Oh boy.
See, I just said, I don't think I have anyone who's not really playing this week, but I did.
Yes, you did.
You know who is playing this week?
Who?
Will's is tight end. More points you've lost.
Well, I don't think I would have put another tight end in the flex position.
Well, it would have been better than nothing.
Would have been. All right, guys. Let's call Michelle Balloon.
All right.
You got it plugged in over there?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Now, remember, we got to all circle around here.
Are we doing it?
Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're calling her.
Are we taking any
I feel
bets?
like now,
What if Topher answers?
You know what? If Topher answers, then all is right with the world.
Okay.
But I feel super good that she's going to answer the phone. If not the first time, then the second time. But I feel like she's definitely going to probably answer.
Hey, this is Topher. What's on your mind?
Yeah, what if his message
We
comes
should
on?
isolate that voicemail. That'd be
We should.
funny.
That was a great one. We'll just call him. He won't answer. We can record it.
Uh-oh, I lost my pen.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Michelle. This is Blair Postman from My Fantasy Wife. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to talk to you, Blair Postman.
Nice to talk to you. Hey, I'm going to do a quick introduction of you to our listeners and then tell you who's in the room here.
Fantastic.
All right.
She approves.
Yeah, she does approve. First of all, we're super excited you answered because last week's guest did not. So we're
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, he was a fill-in, last-minute fill-in, but we're super excited you answered the phone. So, listeners, Michelle Balloon has appeared on the Roundtable for E's Chelsea lately. She's performed stand-up on CBS's The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. She recently taped an episode of Byron Allen's Comics Unleashed. She's conducted backstage interviews for Comedy Central's The Gong Show with Dave Attell and performed stand-up on Comedy Central's Premium Blend. Everyone, big round of applause for Michelle Balloon.
Hey.
Woo! And if at any time you have trouble hearing me or anybody else, please let me know, Michelle. We'll take care of it here.
How?
Oh, yeah. And
Sure.
I'll just go around really quickly and tell you everyone's names. We got Gary Hames, my husband and sports stat expert. We've got Wills Maxwell.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, we've got Wills Maxwell, who is our substitute social media maven.
Hi, Michelle.
All right.
And,
Hey.
and Louis Bishop, who is our sound engineer and man about town.
Hi.
Yeah, we hung out. I hung out with Louie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had coffee. We had coffee.
Yeah, we had
one time.
coffee.
Yeah. Well, you had coffee. I just watched you drink coffee.
That
really good at that.
sounds
Yeah, well, that's true.
a little creepy, but not unusual
No,
for
that's
you,
what I always
Louis.
do.
Not
I asked. I invited. It was an open invite, and he took me up on that offer.
to watch you drink coffee.
Yeah. She,
Yeah, I said, please, does someone want to watch me drink coffee?
It's a thing. It's kind of my thing. Would you mind?
It's my sort of like, yeah, it's
You're-
sort of like not as like severe as like a Louis C.K. fetish, but
Right.
It's still
Right.
kind of.
Well, she was doing it within an hour of having been in the pool, and she didn't want to get cramps and drown. So
Exactly. I needed someone to be there just
Right.
in case.
Right, just in case, to pull you out. Well, we are so excited, and we're going to get you have a wonderful podcast that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I want to start with some of the things we ask all of our guests. You know, some sports stuff that they're kind of obsessed with, either ever in their lives or right now. And one of the things that you told me that you were obsessed with is American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, that is something I currently am obsessed with. Yes.
And what is it? I mean, because they're not playing each other, right? Really, they're their own competition or their own worst enemy.
You're in it. Yeah, they're playing against an almost impossible set of obstacles that they just seem to keep making more difficult.
Right. And so it's
yeah,
like,
no, it's
kind of like my life.
yeah,
yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yes, yeah, it's a metaphor.
it's a
I'm
metaphor
projecting
for
my own issues.
yeah, it's a metaphor for all the self-destructive, undermining things that we do in our own lives.
Yeah.
Well,
I love.
No, it's good.
No, I was just saying, I love that show. I love that, and I've always wanted to see like a crossover special where they make the Ninja Warriors go on the courses from Wipeout, and the contestants from Wipeout go on the American Ninja Warrior course.
Oh Jesus! Well,
is Wipeout?
I think, but honestly, I think there are some people that are Wipeout level that do the course, like the ones that really go back. That's what I love. They will have people on. I read an article someone wrote about it too. They'll have some people on there with great backstories, but they have no problem with the fact that they'll be like, and then the cancer, and then the MS, and then the 10 seizures, and then the baby died, and then I'm going to do this for them all. And then they get out there and they literally just fall in the water on the first obstacle. Up, next person that actually can compete.
Oh, it doesn't wind up being a triumphant story in the end. It doesn't.
No, you can't. It's like,
they should vet
it's
them.
an amazing, it's basically the people that do the best seem to be gymnasts and competitive rock climbers because of the grip strength and the upper body strength. But what's so fascinating about it is I don't know how many, I think they've done like 5 or 6 seasons, but the first 3 or 4 seasons, there was never a winner.
Wow.
There was never a winner. No one could ever make it to the end. And finally, last season, 2 people make it to the last obstacle, the last stage, which is in Las Vegas. And the one guy makes it up, rings the buzzer, he's made it, and he gets $1 million until the next guy goes up and does it faster.
Holy
What?
shit.
That's crazy.
So he did not win. The second guy won. And this year, once again, no winner.
But it's the saddest
So-
thing. I feel like they should give that first guy like something for being first. You know,
Nothing.
like
nothing.
a
Yeah,
cab ride home or something.
Right.
Yeah, and he competed again this year, and he did not make it.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Hey, I think you should tell Michelle that
Yeah.
story. Do you remember the story about, was it the Superstars? Was that what that show was called from the 70s?
Oh yeah.
Remember the boxer who almost drowned in the pool because he
Yes.
competed in the 200-meter
Was it-
swim and didn't know how to swim?
It might have been George Foreman.
No,
who
it
was
was
it?
somebody-
Yeah, there was a show in the 70s.
No, it was the guy that fought Ali, the other famous fight.
Frazier?
Yes, it was Frazier. He jumps in the pool doing 4 laps of an Olympic swimming pool, and by about 15 seconds in, they had to rescue him because he didn't know how to swim.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah,
It's
it was
like that.
It was and he's like, "Well, how do you know if you can swim unless you try?" And it's like, I feel like actually there are ways to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should check out Google Superstars in the 70s, and it's
I
extremely
believe
entertaining.
I haven't seen that specific episode, but I remember all of those,
Yeah.
like the Circus of the Stars,
Oh, yeah.
and the sort of they had the obstacle. I remember Bruce Jenner did a bunch.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well, they didn't get paid.
Then Bruce Jenner.
They didn't have the right. They didn't have the the lucrative contracts. They had to stay amateur for so long. They wound up doing all this circus bullshit after they retired to make money.
Didn't pay what it pays now.
Yeah,
either.
no kidding. That's why we used to have people who would go on the speaking circuit. I used to be a speaker agent, Michelle, and you can't get anybody now because they actually make money, playing sports. They're not selling used cars in the off season or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I that makes me really sad about that guy who came in, who was the first one to finish it and got nothing.
No, it is, and he was. It was amazing and so sad, and and even this year watching it and seeing the people there's the city prelims and championships, and then at the end they all go to Vegas, and there's 4 or 5 stages in Vegas, and I think everybody got to the 3rd stage, and then nobody made it any farther.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God!
Did they at least play a cut of Judge Schmales telling Spalding that he'll get nothing and like it?
That would
have been very appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, it would. Yeah, I'm not sure it would have made him feel better, but you would enjoy
I'd
it.
laugh.
So, Michelle, I also.
But I saw one live. Too.
Oh!
I saw,
Oh, that's
when they were here in
awesome.
Philly, I saw it live, which
Where?
was amazing.
Where did you see it? Hello.
Of course, set up by the Delaware River in front of this old industrial power plant. I don't even know what it was, like a steel plant or something. And
Wow.
That's
it
really
was
cool.
amazing. It was post-apocalyptic, and it was. I mean, they don't really start recording until, which I never knew watching it, but they really don't start recording it until 11 midnight.
Oh,
geez.
Really late. And they get everything set up, and they do all the crowd reaction, record everything, and then when they start doing the runs, they don't stop. So it's like you're really watching a sporting event. But having to watch, because they edit out little seconds here and there, and having to watch it up close and watch it because we were right in front of an obstacle, watching people struggle. And the one we were at, which is the Philly City Finals,
Yeah.
nobody finished the course.
Oh my
Nobody
God.
finished.
I'd be a nervous
So they
wreck.
just take the top the top ones. Yeah, it was crazy.
So let me
it's
just make
nuts.
sure
Oh.
let me just make sure I understand this. So George Washington, after having exerted no training or any part of his life working for it, plunges into the Delaware River and is immortalized in a painting that we will remember for all time. These other guys trained for 10 years and they plunge into the Delaware River, and it's just like, next.
They did. Well, they plunged next to the Delaware River.
Oh, okay.
Into a man-made
Not even as good.
mini Delaware River.
Wow, that is so stressful. I would be a nervous wreck, and I would have
No,
bitten off
it's
my
awful.
nails.
Yeah.
Washington wasn't even rowing. He was just standing
Okay,
at the prow of the boat.
all right, Gary.
It's
We
nothing.
get it.
I could have done that.
We get it, Gary.
All of those people can now find those redemption after losing on that by running across the big red balls on Wipeout.
Right, you're really pushing this
Exactly.
wipe off. That's a different show. That's what they do to them after
wipe
they
off.
fall. Yeah, after they fall, it's wipe off. But yeah, you're pushing that wipe out
I
crossover.
think it's a great idea. Yeah.
All right. So
Do you think? All I'm thinking of is Mike Greenberg running that course where they dumped all the honey and cereal on him.
yeah, he had a nervous wreck.
Yeah, that's
he,
not the
he had
same,
a nervous
but it's
breakdown.
kind of the same.
Whoa, what's that?
Well, you know the guys from Mike and Mike, the Little Mike from the ESPN show. Little Mike, they bet each other every year about something or
Oh,
another.
that show. I know of it, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen that episode, and that sounds terrific.
The little
I mean,
guys.
it sounds like in a funny way.
Yeah, the little guy's a germaphobe, and basically he lost the bet, and he had to go through an obstacle. It wasn't exactly an obstacle course, but they threw things on him like honey and dirt, and he had to take a like Silkwood shower.
Yes,
for 3 days after that.
It was quite funny.
It was good. Hey, so another thing, and we're going to play a game in a minute based on this interest. But another thing that you said you were interested in is you were in the 1990s. You were a baseball card collector, fiend, aficionado.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like, I want to say maybe late 89, 90, 91, kind of tapered off after that. I don't know. I like baseball. I lived in northwestern Wisconsin, which is like the Minnesota Twins territory.
Okay,
And they
okay.
just won the World Series in 87. They won again in 91.
Okay.
And I just got really into it. My neighbor friends were into it, and my twin sister, we also started collecting. It was just fun to open up the card pack. And so like Upper Deck, was like the best, and there was Tops. And there was like another one I can remember that was kind of like a lesser quality one. And then just getting, at the time there were these hologram cards, which were a big deal, and Top Stadium Club it was really fun. I mean, it was just so great, like opening up the packs and putting them into the album, and yeah, I loved it.
The whole thing. And you became sort of an expert on the stats. You didn't just show them off fancy style you actually kind of absorbed a lot of detail, I think.
I did. I absorbed it. I did not read. Yeah, so I could not tell you what the RBI percentage of anybody was, or the RBI stats. But because of the collecting and knowing what cards I had, and without even trying to, I kind of remember most of the names of the players that played in that season. Like all those are, pretty. Were names I just by rote, just like doing it over and over and over
Right.
again.
You osmosis.
I remember. Are you gonna quiz me on these games?
I'm gonna
Oh, yeah.
not super deep because I wrote the questions and
Well,
I
you're
don't
a
know that
collector.
much.
If you say the name, the likelihood is I could say the team.
Well, okay. This might be harder than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, for a collector fiend aficionado.
Gary, you collected baseball cards a little bit,
I
didn't
did,
you?
just a bit.
What was how did you get started? How old were you when you got started?
I was
Where were
about
you?
5. And during my breaks at the mall when I would go off the piano, my dad would take me over to the store and buy me some baseball cards. And then for Christmas, I used to get the cases of individually wrapped packs. And then I'd sit there all morning and open them and put them
I would get a case on my birthday and Christmas.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And then I'd put all the gum in a container and put it in the refrigerator and chew it for like 3 weeks.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yep.
See, I was like,
There's a lot of gum.
I think I just tossed my gum, but I think I mostly concentrated on Upper Deck, but I think I also did Tops too.
Well, that's the thing. There was only Tops when I was doing it in the 70s, and it was only Tops, and it all had gum.
Yeah.
So there was no choice.
Yeah, so
about
I was
the
doing
gum.
when I was older. So I was not 5. I was like 13.
Yeah.
13, 14.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I
Just want to establish that we're close to the same age.
yeah I think Gary's got
Considered way younger.
a few years on you. So what I put together here as our game, and Gary has not been allowed to see this. You're just going to have to trust me on this because I'm fine with Gary losing
Yes, in
any
fact,
game.
You've probably seen
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Right? Yeah. If anything, it would be more likely that I would give you the answers in advance, Michelle. But
No, I'm married. I understand.
yeah, you know.
Right.
And so what I've done here is to make it fair. I got some player question trivia about players from the 90s for you, but from the 70s for Gary.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
And
perfect.
then if either of you gets one wrong and the other wants to steal, by all means, let me know.
Well, everyone always wants to steal.
Okay,
Hey,
good.
I want to ask one quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I'm just curious, because I've never really talked to another baseball card collector. I was always really into two things. One, I tried to get like the famous players, but the other thing, certain ones appealed to me because the picture was just exceptional, but the player was nobody. And I always had like two stacks. I had a stack of like all my all-stars, but then I also had a stack of all the ones that I thought were the coolest looking pictures. They were people you never heard of. I remember a guy named Boots Day from Montreal in the 70s who was unknown, completely unknown, but he had the coolest picture. He was like jumping up to make this catch. And he was always like on the top of my stacks. So did you have any interest in like just from the, like an artistic standpoint, or was it all about like who they were?
But I cannot remember that. But I wouldn't be surprised if I did it. You know what I mean? It was it was just a few year portion of my life. So what I really remember about it is having the album, having the stacks, putting my favorite ones in the little clear plastic cases.
Right.
You know,
So you weren't putting them in the spokes
And,
of your bicycle, then, huh?
no.
That's
Oh,
so
God.
70s,
Yeah.
Gary.
I know.
All right, so
Getting a Beckett magazine. Did you ever get Beckett magazine to see how much they're worth?
I used to buy like boxes of these things in auctions, and there would be those magazines would be in there with them, but I never like
cool.
went to the store and bought it.
Yeah, Gary is a serious collector of many things, Michelle. He used to be the second largest owner of collectible cookie jars in America. And that's a real thing. That's for realsies. Go look. Go sometime when you're bored, Google the 30 Rock cookie jar episode, and it's a lot like that. To the point where I once contacted the writer of that episode to see if
I paid him to.
No, well, to see if you would run into him in the cookie jar world, and he's like, "No, I just picked it at random." And yeah, it was.
He was inspired.
He was just inspired. All right, I'm going to start with Gary, Michelle, so you can get a feel for what we're doing here. All right,
I want to get a feel for what we're doing.
Okay, Gary. Gary, here's your first question.
All right.
And if this gets boring, we'll stop.
Okay.
I love that you throw that disclaimer on
If
every
I'm
game.
not entertained, I know nobody else is going to be entertained.
That's
so,
for sure.
I use my own short attention span as a guide. All right, so Gary, this catcher, stop making eyes at Lewis. This catcher, Gary, had 10 starts in the All-Star games in the 70s and was 1970 National League MVP as well as 1972. This is a catcher.
Likely Johnny Bench.
It was Johnny Bench, Gary. Congratulations.
Oh my! Good job.
Yay! Okay. Okay, Michelle.
Okay.
He this I think it was a shortstop. This shortstop won his second MVP in 1991. He also was selected to every All-Star game during the 90s.
Oh my God. Is it? No. So I might be terrible at this.
It's okay.
Is it Cal Ripken?
It is!
He played infield.
That is, yes,
What?
it is. That's correct.
Oh my God!
That's correct. Ding, 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 ding,
Wow.
ding. As of right now, you and Gary are tied. Maybe we should stop.
I'm happy with that. I'm
All
happy
right.
with that.
All right, Gary.
All right. Blair.
This second baseman, Gary, was a 1977 American League MVP and had the single season batting average in 1977 of a .388.
That's Rod Carew.
Yes, it is Rod Carew. That's right,
All right,
Gary.
San Diego Padres. I know
All
that.
right.
That's the highest batting average in like 70 some years.
All right. Okay, Michelle. This player had 405 home runs in the 1990s.
Okay, that's all I'm getting.
He did a lot of steroids. That might not help
Well,
that
no
much,
kidding.
actually.
It's what's his face? It's
Yes.
I'll take
yes.
I'll take a team or any glimpse of any detail.
he's white.
Yes.
Yes. Although that's not a given.
Okay, his name starts with an M.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's his fucking name?
And so does
It
his
is-
last name.
And what?
His last name also starts with an M.
And he got really small and then really big.
Right.
Yes,
Right?
and he's a ginger.
Yeah, and he's a ginger. I totally know his name.
And he has a
Mark?
mullet.
Yes, Mark. Wolf give it to
Mark.
Will we?
Thank you.
Mark McGuire.
I feel like-
Ding, ding,
Mark
ding,
McGuire.
ding, 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 ding.
I feel like that was less like trivia knowledge and more like psychically divining his
Right,
name. Like, I'm getting an M sound.
Exactly.
Yeah, you were asking me. It's nice you're asking me like really sort of like okay. Now I remember who the best players are of that
Yes.
era.
No, these
If I
are.
can remember their exact names.
Yes.
That's the hard part.
I only went for the best. The best.
Good.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know anything.
All
so
we
it had
need
to be,
is a letter. Just a letter.
What planet was he born on?
Okay. All right, Gary.
Yes.
All right, Gary. In 1979, at the age of 39, this player won the National League MVP. He was hitting point.
It's Willie Stargell.
Yes, it is Willie Stargell. I didn't even finish the question.
Nice. We also would have accepted WS.
Yes, it is. Or Dude in the Hat.
Right.
Also. Okay. I'm gonna.
That was the We Are Family Pirates team.
Yes, it is. Let's see here. I'm gonna pick you a good one.
Okay.
Okay. He was drafted in the 62nd round, but then was Rookie of
I
the
know this
Year, and he was selected to 7 All-Star teams and finished in the top 10 of MVP 6 times, and I believe he was a catcher.
Oh my God.
And his last name looks like, if you look at it quickly, like something delicious to eat.
God, Jesus. He was drafted in the 62nd round as a favor to his father, who was a chef that made like Italian food for the Dodgers managers. The only reason they took him.
Yeah.
God, I'm gonna need first or last name on this. one.
His last name looks like a delicious Italian food that you might get at a place called a joint.
Mike Piazza.
Yay! Ding, 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 ding. We really like setting our guests up for success.
Right.
I thought it was Greg. I thought it was Greg Stromboli.
Oh, he was drafted in the 50th round that year, Louis.
Right.
Mike Stromboli. The very well-known Mike Stromboli. So, Gary, I will just do a couple more each.
All right.
And then we'll listen to you about Balloon Cast. Gary, Reggie Jackson, Mr. October,
Yeah.
defined the 70s with 14 postseason home runs in the decade, en route to winning 4 World Series titles with what 2 teams?
Oakland A's and New York Yankees.
That's correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, right.
Michelle, you're really hanging in there tight.
I am, right? I'm
No,
impressed with myself.
you
Like,
should be,
yeah.
no matter what happens next, you should be proud of yourself.
Yeah, people will at least know that I wasn't just like flicking, like trying to front. You know what I
Right.
mean?
No, no.
Like this is validity.
No,
Yep.
this is real.
And
thing.
remember, this is 25 years ago.
Right.
Right.
It's really digging deep.
This is a real thing. All right, Michelle.
Yeah.
He slammed
Yeah.
382 home runs and drove
Fucking-
in 1,091 runs and batted 300 or better 6 times. Griffey. Oh, I just gave it away.
Wow.
Wow.
That's going to be a hard
He
one.
also,
Junior.
yeah, you
Wow.
got it. Congratulations.
How did you do that?
I was so hoping she would say Ken Griffey Sr.
Michelle, this next question is for you again. This baseball player also played football, and he had a football game named after him called Bo Jackson Football. He played for the Royals. Who was it? First name B.O. and he knows everything.
Fair enough. So
Right.
look, the whole premise of this podcast is I don't know about sports. So when I cut and paste, sometimes things get in there.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. So, all right, Gary, this is your last question, Gary.
Okay.
In 1970, he threw a no-hitter while allegedly under the influence of LSD and was National League starting pitcher in the 1971 All-Star Game?
That's a tough
Oh God, I
one.
read an
Pirates.
article about this.
I was
Yeah, I
four.
did too. That's why I know about it.
I was 4
yeah.
in 1970.
So you were young with a lot of these.
Did he play for the Pirates?
Yes, he did.
Is his name Doc Ellis?
Yes, it is, Gary Hames.
Nice.
You were milking that. All right, this is your last one,
I
Michelle.
was. milking.
And if
Oh
there's
my
a,
God. Okay.
and if there's a tie, you guys can
We'll split the prize.
Yeah, you'll split the prize of glory.
We will fly you here to knife fight Gary.
Yeah,
Right.
that's how we settle
Yes,
things.
each of us gets a knife in our right hand, and they tie our left wrist together with a cord.
Yeah, we had to do that with Nick Vatterott. who
Yeah, we
won-
did, and he's
yeah.
fucking sorry he came
Yeah,
on the
he's
show. I'll
sorry
tell
he
you
came
that.
on the show. Yeah, for a lot of reasons. All right, Michelle. This pitcher.
Yes.
This pitcher struck out an average of 254 batters a year in the decade of the 90s. He also had 3 seasons in which he struck out more than 300, and he was a very big guy.
Randy Johnson.
Yay! Ding, 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 ding. I am so looking forward to the knife fight.
Yeah.
It's been like weeks since we had a knife fight.
Can we film it in
Oh
color?
God, I love knife fights.
We could film it in color,
All right.
sure. We can put it on the YouTube channel, and we'll get your availability for that off the air. Michelle.
Perfect.
It's rousing. You might want to train down at that Philadelphia, the abandoned Ninja Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
course.
exactly. No, yeah, I'll get really get ready.
You're
It's
going
gonna-
into this with an advantage with your ninja training.
Yeah, exactly. Or watching of
Right,
it anyway. Yeah, yeah.
You already seen how I absorb information. I mean,
Yes.
clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got an advantage, and you're younger than Gary. You're probably more spry, so I think that's a real
I'm
advantage.
plenty spry, baby.
Yeah. Hey, so tell us a little. Tell us. Oh my God! If you could have seen his face. Yeah.
You guys can't see it right now,
I can
but
imagine.
Gary is doing a handstand and doing push-ups right now.
I
It is
know.
very impressive.
Yeah.
Oh my
Right.
God, that's
Yeah.
It is
crazy.
impressive.
Well, if I had a nickel at Will's, that bores me now.
while Lewis Bishop sits on my feet.
Right. I know, but I've seen it all before.
Really?
Yeah.
You've
So-
seen me do a one-handed push-up while Lewis Bishop sits on my feet?
Yeah, a push-up with Bishop. Yep,
Yeah.
I have.
All right.
Bishop push-up.
It's a
A
Bishop.
push up with Bishop.
Yeah. Nice. We just call that a bishop, actually. But we spell it differently. So Michelle, I have gotten to listen to first 3 episodes of Ballooncast, and Wills and I both listened to the Comedy Bang Bang episode. Tell us about Ballooncast and what you're doing and why you're doing it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I just wanted to start a new podcast. I had another one that was popular called Walking with Michelle that I did a while ago, and it was very hard to produce. And so I've been thinking about doing a podcast, but wanted to do one where I didn't have to depend on anybody else but
Sure.
myself. So I needed to think about what to talk about. And then I think I was driving or something, and I was like, you know what, I just want to do one where I talk about stand-up comedy, like basically advice, but like framed around my personal experiences. So, it's just, all it is I've been doing stand-up 16 years. And even though I started at a time that's different from a lot of people starting now, I can just give my advice from that and what I see. And so I just did the first couple episodes, and then I did Comedy Bang Bang, and it kind of took off. And it's crazy the amount of
Right.
listeners I seem to have, and people submitting questions, which has been great because that's all I really need. And so that's all it is. It's just sort of, it's not a comedy school. It's just me.
No, it's
saying,
very.
and it's been interesting to non-comics too, which is what I wanted it to be.
Well,
like,
because
this is what it's like.
I think that's why. It's because it's sort of like pulling back the curtain for non-comics about what it's like, and like the real day in, day out, year in, year out, like grind, if you will. And that it's, it's not that you do it for 2 years and suddenly you know everything and you're fantastic and you're on a TV show.
Yeah, it's working hard. And it's also like, especially for the younger comics that listen to it, it's saying it's all about working hard. It's not about being a YouTube celebrity, you know what I mean? And it's just, and this is where, the different places things that you can do and where you might end up, and what some of that involves, and how, and just how to survive. Or not survive, or fucking quit,
Right,
But,
because sometimes
about
you should
everything.
quit things. But
Yeah.
but seriously, a lot of it is. It kind of reminds me. As sometimes I'll say to myself, like, well, you better love it because sometimes it's not going to be fun.
Yeah,
And
right. Yeah.
sometimes it's incredibly fun, which is part of the initial draw, but a lot of times
Like
you're
5% of the time, it's incredibly fun.
yeah, and then other times you have a day job and you're sleepy and you're driving 2 hours each way or whatever, and it's less fun. Or there's 4 angry people in the audience and you don't know why they chose comedy, but there they are. I think it's really practical advice. I like it a whole lot. And I know you were
Thank
on
you so
comedy.
much.
Yeah, and I know you were on Comedy Bang Bang, but now you've been on My Fantasy Wife, so that's probably going to help a ton.
Exactly. Please, everybody, listen to the Balloon Cast. I'm going to get the bump. I've heard about My Fantasy Wife bump.
Right, the My Fantasy
And
Wife
now
bump.
I'm actually going to get it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting.
It turned out to be a tumor.
Yeah, it's My Fantasy Wife tumor. It's unfortunate. It's like one of those people who tried to go on
I
the
thought it was a bump. but it
American
was a-
Ninja Warrior, and then they fell down, and it turned out not to be an inspiring story.
I'm going to be the guy that doesn't get the $1 million.
Yeah, no, we are like
What? I thought I was going to get a bump.
yeah, we are the podcast version of those people who just immediately fall down.
He didn't get $1 million, but he got life experience.
Right. I think
Yeah, there we go.
had
Yeah.
enough. All right, Michelle, thank you so much for playing our game, and we so look
It was
forward
so fun.
to having you on again and record or not, depending on how the knife fight goes. Having either you or Gary back on again sometime in the
Right.
future, and we're all going to check out Balloon Cast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love being on it. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Oop, there you go. Oh, well, that was fun.
Well, that's fun.
She did good. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week, listeners. Thanks, of course, again to Michelle Balloon. And next week, we'll have Mike Bridenstine. And to our contributors, Joe Perot and Wills Maxwell. To download episode, find us on social media, subscribe to us on Patreon and everything else. Check out our website, myfantasywife.com, with links to everything. Thank you, Mr. Bishop, for taking us out with the jazz trumpet stylings of Mr. Al Hurt.
This competition among 10 of the greatest professional athletes in the world. Right now we're going to see qualifying heats for swimming. There will be 2 heats. The first 2 finishers in each heat qualify for the final, along with the fastest of the 2 third-place finishers. In other words, 5 men will move on to the final. Let's check the first heat starters now. Swimming in lane number 1 from the racing circuits of the world, this is Peter Revson, sports car champion and former winner of the pole position for the Indianapolis 500. Swimming in lane 2, we're going to have the 3-time winner of Olympic gold medals in Grenoble 1968. You, of course, remember the great skiing champion Jean-Claude Killy of France. Lane 3 here, Bob Segrin. He's the world record holder still in the pole vault event. Recently turned professional with the International Track Association, and that circuit will be beginning very soon. Rounding out the field, the former heavyweight champion of the world, here is Jolting Joe Frazier. These 4 going, 2 of them will qualify for the final and possibly the 3rd finisher on a time basis.